I welcome you to this discussion about the lymphoid system. So, the lymphoid system, which is also known as the lymphatic system, is a crucial part of the body's immune system. And this lymphoid or lymphatic system is made up of lymphoid organs, lymph nodes, lymphatic vessels, and the lymphatic fluid. So the lymphatic system has its primary function as defending the body against infections because it's part of the immune system. So that's what it should do. Then the other function is that it helps to maintain the fluid balance within the body. We'll see how it does that. And the last primary function is that it helps in the absorption of dietary fat. It equally plays a significant role in the transportation of immune cells. And as these immune cells are transported, as the lymphatic fluid, or what we call the lymph, as it moves, the lymph nodes will help to filter the harmful substances. Okay. So the components of this lymphoid or the lymphatic system, we have one, the lymphatic vessels. So these are vessels through which the lymph or the lymphatic fluid gets transported throughout the body. So these lymphatic vessels, they have valves. The valves ensure that the lymphatic fluid or the lymph flows in one direction. So there is no backflow. That's the work of the valves. And the lymphatic vessels, they work close with the skeletal muscles. So as the skeletal muscles contract, that contraction is what helps to propel or to move the lymph fluid through the lymphatic vessel. So what moves through the lymphatic vessels is the lymph or the lymphatic fluid. So lymphatic fluid or lymph is a clear, colorless fluid which is derived from interstitial fluid. So it contains white blood cells, it has proteins, cellular debris, and other waste products. So it circulates through the lymphatic vessels. The lymph moves around the body through the lymphatic vessels. And it plays an important role in immune surveillance. As it moves around, it helps in the movement of immune cells. So those cells that are moving around in the lymphatic vessels where the lymph is being circulated, they help in doing a surveillance. Okay? So in the nodes, the pathogens will be filtered. Anything harmful will be filtered at the nodes. Then as part of the lymphoid system or the lymphatic system, we also have the lymphoid organs. So these organs are divided primarily into two categories. So you have the primary lymphoid organs and the secondary lymphoid organs. The primary lymphoid organs, they are the sites where the lymphocytes are produced. So the primary lymphoid organs, two things happen there: production of the lymphocytes and maturation. So the lymphocytes are produced and they mature within the primary lymphoid organs. So these primary lymphoid organs include, one, the bone marrow. So within the bone marrow, all blood cells are produced there, including the lymphocytes. Then the B cells will mature in the bone marrow before they migrate to other tissues. The second example of the primary lymphoid organ is the thymus. Okay, so this is an organ that is located in the chest, and in the thymus, the T cells mature there. So the thymus is a bit active and prominent when during childhood, but as one grows, it shrinks, inapunguka in size. Then the other category of lymphoid organs is the secondary lymphoid organs. So while the primary lymphoid organs is where the lymphocytes are produced and they mature, the secondary lymphoid organs have an important function, and they are sites where the immune responses occur. So the immune responses occur within the lymphoid organs, which we call the secondary lymphoid organs. Then now examples of these secondary lymphoid organs include the lymph nodes. Okay, so these are structures that are found along the lymphatic vessels. And what the lymph nodes do is that they filter the lymph or the lymphatic fluid. So lymph nodes, they are found along the lymphatic vessels. And in the lymph nodes, the lymphatic fluid, which is moving through the lymphatic vessels, is filtered. So it is at the nodes that we have the filtration of the lymph happening, and through that filtration, pathogens are trapped. Okay? Pathogens are trapped in the lymph nodes. Also, the lymph nodes house, or they keep, some immune cells. So you find, for example, the B lymphocytes and the T lymphocytes. They are found in the lymph nodes. The other secondary lymphoid organ is the spleen. So this is actually the largest lymphoid organ. And the function of the spleen is to filter blood. Through that filtration, then old red blood cells are removed. Okay? Then another function of it is to initiate immune responses against blood-borne pathogens. So it is filtering blood, which means it is coming into direct contact with blood. So if there is any pathogen within that blood that it is filtering, then the spleen will now initiate, will start an immune response against that pathogen that is found in the blood. Another secondary lymphoid organ includes the tonsils and the adenoids. So tonsils, kuna watu unaona uko na homa, wanakushikashika huku kwa shingo na madaktari, then wanakuambia uko na tonsillitis, which means your tonsils zimefura. So tonsils and adenoids, these are lymphoid tissues that are located in the throat and in the nasal cavity. So they are located there, and their function is to protect against pathogens that enter through the mouth and through the nose. Okay. Then within the intestines, we have another secondary lymphoid organ, which we call the Peyer's patches. So what they do is they monitor the intestinal bacteria, and they prevent infections within the intestines. Then equally, we have a last example of a secondary lymphoid organ, which is the appendix. So appendix helps, it contributes to the immune functions within the gut. So it prevents infections within the guts, okay, because it's found within the GIT. So having looked at all, we've looked at the lymphatic system, or the lymphoid system. We've seen what constitutes it. We've seen the categories of the organs. So what is the function of this lymphoid system? So one, it plays a big role in immune defense. So because it houses immune cells. The cells which are housed in this lymphoid system, they are able to detect, neutralize, and destroy pathogens. The other function that it plays is with respect to the balance of fluid within the body. So what it does, it collects excess fluid within the tissues, the interstitial fluid. So it picks that interstitial fluid from tissues and returns it into circulation. Because if that fluid is not picked, if that fluid is not drained from the tissues, then we'll end up with a swelling. So what ensures that fluids do not accumulate in the tissues is the lymphoid system. The other function, which is the third function, is the absorption of fats. Okay? So the lymphoid system plays a significant role in the intestines especially, where they now absorb the dietary fat and it transports that fat into the bloodstream. The fourth function is waste removal, the removal of wastes. So remember, the spleen is filtering. Equally, the lymph nodes are also filtering. So what they do is they filter and remove pathogens, remove anything that is dead, remove any debris from the bodily fluids. Then the fifth function, which is equally critical, is in the circulation of the immune cells. Okay? So it moves around the lymphocytes, which are the white blood cells. Okay? So it helps in the movement of the lymphocytes. So how does this lymph circulate? So the lymph circulation involves the lymph flowing from the tissues into the lymphatic capillaries. So we've said that the lymphoid system or the lymphatic system, among its function is to pick fluid from tissues. So this lymph will flow now from these tissues into the lymphatic capillaries. Then those lymphatic capillaries, they merge, zinaungana, they join up to form a larger lymphatic vessel. Okay? Then lymphatic vessels keep carrying this lymph through the lymph node. At the lymph node, that's now where the filtration happens, so that pathogens and debris and any dead cells, they are removed. Okay? Then now, the lymph keeps moving because of the contraction of the muscles. Okay? It moves because of the contraction of the muscles. Then now, eventually, because of the contraction, and it was flowing from the tissues into the lymphatic capillaries. Then those capillaries will merge to form larger lymphatic vessels. Then those vessels, which are now larger, they carry the lymph through the lymph nodes. In the lymph nodes, filtration happens. Okay, so filtration happens and the pathogens and debris are removed from the lymph, which is the lymphatic fluid. What keeps the lymph flowing is contraction of the surrounding skeletal muscles. Okay, the contraction of the surrounding skeletal muscles. Then now eventually the lymph will drain into the venous system. Okay, it will eventually now drain into the venous system. So the key cells, the very important cells in the lymphoid system, one are the lymphocytes. These are the B and T cells. So the B and T cells, or the lymphocytes, they are essential for adaptive immunity. We'll discuss adaptive immunity next. So B cells produce antibodies, and T cells attack infected or abnormal cells. Okay, you remember the MHC when we were talking about it. So the B cells lead to the production of antibodies. Then the T cells will now attack an infected or an abnormal cell. The other critical cell within the lymphoid system are the macrophages. These ones engulf and digest pathogens, dead cells, and even the cellular debris. Okay? The dendritic cells, these ones capture and present antigens so that the immune responses can be activated. Then you have the natural killer cells. These ones destroy infected or cancerous cells. They destroy them using various mechanisms, and we'll see that next. Okay, so some destroy by making holes, poking holes on the surface of that cell. Okay. So there are common disorders of the lymphoid system. One is lymphedema, that is the swelling, okay, of the lymphatic system. So when there is an obstruction, then the lymph fluid will not flow. Then it will lead to a swelling. Lymphoma is a type of cancer which is affecting lymphocytes. Okay? Then lymphadenopathy is an enlargement of the lymph node. Okay? When the lymph node swells, then that is lymphadenopathy. The swelling can either be due to an infection, an inflammation, or even just a tumor or a malignancy. We saw the autoimmune disorders when we were looking at the MHC, but now because the lymphoid system is also vital in the immune system, also it suffers from autoimmune disorders, where now the immune system mistakenly attacks the body's own tissues. Then the lymphatic system can also be infected by pathogens. So you can have bacteria, viruses infecting the lymphatic system. Then once the lymphatic system has been infected, it will lead, if you are talking of the tonsils that are infected, then there is an inflammation of the tonsils, which we call now tonsillitis. So in summary, the lymphoid system is essential for immunity, fluid balance, fat absorption, and waste removal. And the lymphoid system is constituted or is made up of the lymphatic vessels, the lymph nodes, the lymph as a fluid, and the specialized lymphoid organs. These lymphoid organs can either be the primary or the secondary lymphoid organs. The lymphatic fluid circulates throughout the body, okay? And as it circulates, it helps in immune response by transporting the immune cells and filtering the pathogens. Filtration of pathogens happens at the lymph node. Okay? Then, of course, we've seen the disorders that come with the lymphoid system. Okay? So I'll stop there, share this video, you have a look at it, then if you have a question, we can always engage. Thank you very much, and I hope you get educated by it. Asante.